Our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus Live with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
Welcome in, everybody, on this Thursday afternoon. Hope everyone is having a wonderful week as week 3 of the college football season is here, guys. Welcome in, everybody. Simone Eli, Gerhard Mathangani joining you, Patrick Walsh behind the scenes. Before we talk sports, today is definitely a day of reflection, remembrance, and honoring those who lost their lives 24 years ago in the complete tragedy, devastating Twin Towers. Gerhard, this is a time when you think back, when you lived through these moments, you remember where you were, you remember the conversations you had, and wow, it is so vivid. Certainly a day to remember as our country never forgets 9/11 24 years ago.
Yeah, this is a day, obviously, that we always remember, and we always remember it for a lot of reasons. Number one, obviously, those that have unfortunately lost their lives and the families that they left behind.
Yep.
But also the great heroes, the firefighters, the police officers, the first responders that were ready when everybody was leaving New York City. Everybody's leaving the Twin Towers, those that were going in.
Yep.
And the people that supported in that time. And it was really a unifying moment.
Yep.
And I'll age myself a bit. I remember exactly where I was. I was a senior in high school, and we were in communications class, as ironic as that is. And we heard the news, and the entire day was spent, watching the television, watching the news that day, watching everything unfold. But you had such a great sense of gratitude for the human spirit, for those that were there to help other people, and then a great sense of empathy for those that lost their lives.
Yeah, no question. I remember I was in 5th grade, and Miss Terry's class very specifically remember that we were sent down to the gym, and then we were sent home, and I remember running into the house and wanting to tell my parents, because I was thinking, like, there's no way that they know, 5th grade, you don't really have a wherewithal of what's really going on. And, I just wanted to be sure to let them know why we were going to be home early. The buses were taking us home. And, so vividly remember rushing through the door and them standing there in tears in the living room watching TV. And I noticed my dad's car was home. He worked for the government at the time, and they were sent home. And, man, just a really, really tragic time. And so, it's one of those days where you just have a moment of pause and reflection. Of course, we get the opportunity every single day to talk about sports.
Right.
Patrick, Gerhard, that's the sort of thing that, brings everybody together. That's the wonderful thing about sports, is that it is something that everyone can, relate to. And that's kind of what sports did for folks after the 9/11 terrorist attack.
It did it everywhere, but especially in New York. I think everybody had that, just really that moment when you watched President Bush at the time throw the first pitch out of in the New York game, a perfect strike, and it just felt so perfect there in the moment for the President of the United States to go ahead and do that. But then all across the country, you just saw this unifying moment that sports brought. Obviously, the moment brought us all together as Americans, but then you also had sports that also had that connective tissue, that connective glue to everybody else at the time as well. I'll also remember very vividly, because it was our senior year of high school, we played that Friday night, and on the game broadcast, it was like, we don't know if we should be playing right now, but it feels like this is what we're supposed to do. And ironically, I went to a school that was called the Patriots, and we played that day as Americans, not as a high school. We did it as Americans, and you just felt so much more love and respect for this country, because, as you mentioned, we have this pleasure of being able to talk about sports. The reason why we have these freedoms is for people that were not only from 9/11, but those that fought in the wars after and the wars before that were able to protect those freedoms.
Amen to that.
Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't here for 9/11. I just have to go by stories and visuals, and obviously it was a horrific situation. I've been able to go to the 9/11 memorial in New York City, and that's a tough walk. If anybody is ever thinking about going and doing it, it's a tough walk, but it's definitely something that you need to do. I just think of, Mike Piazza's home run at home against the Atlanta Braves, the first one back. And it felt like in that moment, again, obviously I wasn't here for it, but watching back, it felt like everyone was cheering, even the Atlanta Braves. I think some players even came out and said, I was rooting for him in that moment. So, it's one of those things where sports brings people together. It can help heal things going on outside.
A lot of things. Yeah, no question. And it was true then. It's certainly true now. And Patrick, I know you showed a video a minute ago, some of the moments that you went and grabbed for this video. Talk us through, if you don't mind, just some of those moments that you picked out there.
Yeah, Mike Piazza, obviously, and then President Bush throwing out the first pitch, that perfect strike. I remember watching I believe the Yankees did a little video with him. Looking back on it, I don't remember when that was released, but it's just one of those things, man. It's just sports unifies people, and it is something that's nice to see, that it unifies people.
Absolutely, and I think another thing too is that if the images of those games, people were not scared to go out a little bit after that. They wanted to show, this is the American spirit. We've been hit, we've been attacked, but we will stand united as Americans. So in the same way that it showed, some compassion and empathy and a bit of a soft nature for all of us, it also hardened us a bit as well and showed
toughness, almost, that
like
toughness. Our resilience.
100%, 100%. And that's really everything that you get in sports.
Yep.
And you got it all in a week,
true.
a week and a half, a month and a half, and 24 years later, we still remember those moments.
Yep, so true. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives there on that day, 9/11, 24 years ago. And this morning, guys, I was watching News Nation, of course, our network here for Nexstar, and didn't realize until I was watching it that every single year they read every single name there at the memorial, and every single TV station in New York City, including, of course, Pix 11, which is, the Nexstar affiliate there, the CW affiliate, airs every single name along with a super and a picture of the person who lost their lives. Amazing. And so there's a producer that hits a button for every single name that is run through to honor all of those people who tragically lost their lives on September 11th, 24 years ago, guys. So, man, I have chills just listening to your story about football. Obviously, Patrick, you weren't here for that, and you were living there, but it doesn't take a lot, as you alluded to rewatch those moments and to understand. In fact, I wasn't really old enough to even understand it in that time. Sure. And so to be able to rewatch it now as an adult or getting into the television business is when you really start to, appreciate the seriousness of what occurred, why it occurred, and then, of course, like you said, just the stories of resilience throughout this entire country after the fact.
It's every year on this day throughout your schooling that everyone talks about it, and you go through it. Every year you just revisit it. You learn more and more each year, and that's all you can really do if you're my generation and didn't live through it. Sure. You just got to listen and just learn about what happened. And
and I love, one thing I love about young people like you, Patrick, is that there are young people like you care to learn. And I don't know if that's everybody. I think that's probably the majority, but I have a huge respect for the young people who didn't live through that time, don't have a memory from when that happened, but have the awareness and the fortitude to be able to say, like, I want to know what that was like as much as I can, having not gone through it in 01.
Yeah, and we're so fortunate as Americans, we don't have much that impacts us on our soil, and it's really because of our strength as a country. And for those that weren't alive for that moment, like we weren't alive for Pearl Harbor, but we understand those moments from the greatest generation that they talk about those times, and even though we weren't alive for it, it's not a perfect parallel, but you just want to learn more. And so for this next generation, as you mentioned, for them not to, because they're now all growing up to be adults. For example, let's say if you were born a few years after 9/11, you're now in your early adulthood, and to be able to hear, like Patrick just alluded to hear about it, for your whole life, and then to learn about it, I think it takes a special sense of compassion, of empathy, and of caring, and a curiosity to know what Americans went through at that time.
Yeah, and as it relates to the Southeastern Conference, the first football game in the SEC that was played after 9/11, here are the images that Patrick got from Mississippi State there. Of course, the Bulldogs hosted South Carolina on September 20th of 2001 at Davis Wade Stadium. And, man, those are really powerful images there more than 43,000 people came together for that game. And once again, just rooted in the fact that what brings people together, and that's, being Americans and showing resiliency. And, South Carolina won that game 16-14. We have in the notes here, but certainly the images of they're almost chilling to a sense, because it just makes you proud, truly, to be an American.
Yeah. And that to me was always the spirit of, I think, where sports needs to live. And I hate that it takes tragedy sometimes for us to be able to look in the mirror and see it for that. But we all do love sports, but we all are Americans. And I think those moments really crystallize it and help us put it in the proper boxes of where sports needs to live in our lives, and perspective of where sports needs to anchor our energy and our emotions and everything else. And sometimes it takes a tragedy to do it, but in those moments you see it. And every now and again we need a refresher, and usually, hopefully, it does not come with tragedy, but you love when you see it on the back end of it, just like we saw 24 years ago.
Yeah, a lot of perspective, no question. We're going to go to break, but I want to give a shout out to our young producer, Patrick Walsh, who, even though not alive in 2001, put together a really beautiful first segment of this show to honor a tragedy in our country on 9/11 in 2001, 24 years ago today. So our thoughts and prayers are with the families impacted by that, and all of those who continue to live with that tragedy closest to them, well beyond what we can ever comprehend. So.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, we'll go to break. We'll be right back. Welcome back in. Southeast Sports Plus, rolling right along into week 3 of the college football season, and it will be a very early rivalry game, so to speak, as LSU and Florida go head-to-head on Saturday. It's a night game in the real Death Valley, Baton Rouge. Bayou Bengals welcoming in the Florida Gators, a 6:30 kickoff there Central Time, that is, at least. Undefeated, third-ranked LSU welcoming in Florida, who felt really good in the offseason, really good in week 1, and then really wondering what's going on right now.
Have to be. I mean, obviously, you lose a home game, then you go on the road to a team that already has won a big road game, and you go in one of the toughest environments in all of college football into LSU. But just like we've seen before, and just like Florida saw, if you play your best, even on the road, you have a chance.
Yep.
So they can use what happened with South Florida and just take a message from the Bulls and just take that into Death Valley. That's the only way, in my opinion, that they can survive this game, because to me, they're not better offensively, they're not better defensively than LSU.
Yep.
But LSU didn't play their best last week, and Florida knows that they didn't play their best last week as well, and they have a chance. If the door's open, they got to walk through it.
Yeah, listen, we will see how things roll out there in Baton Rouge, but I think that one thing we know for sure, one thing that is certain about college football, is that there is a lot of uncertainty in college football right now. And it is anybody's Saturday.
Yep.
Anybody can beat anybody. The parity is greater than it's ever been. And I would, like, if Florida went in and upset LSU, like, I wouldn't walk away surprised. There's nothing at this point that could shock me week to week. And looking back through this entire season, short of Ball State going to win a national title. Now, that one might surprise me because they are like number 136th ranked. So, of course, we have great teams across Next Star Nation, guys, who do really great work in not only SEC cities and SEC towns throughout all of the footprint down here, but also throughout the entire nation. We do have some really great stories coming out of LSU territory, of course, and we're going to highlight a superfan grandma from our New Orleans affiliate. Let's take a listen to this one.
I think it's the first time I've ever seen a purple and gold fire hydrant.
Well, I tell you what,
She'll tell you what, all right,
this is my tiger den.
right after she shows you.
What else would there be?
Shows you what all she has at her house.
I dream of LSU. I do.
Barbara Longbotham's home is her Chalmette shrine to LSU. How do you describe your relationship with LSU?
Well, I tell you what, LSU is my life.
A life that sort of surprises you when you finally find out that this young,
That's what I'm talking.
82-year-old Louisiana grandmother,
Go Tigers!
who retired after 40 years working at Blue Plate Mayo.
So guess what happened? Oh, I hope you're comfortable.
I am. Thank you, Barbara. And anyway, what happened was Barbara never actually attended LSU, though she's been a fan since she was a little girl. Are you in love with LSU?
Oh, without a doubt, crazy, crazy LSU. Love them so much. Well, I got something to show you over here now.
Yeah, you got mail from the front door.
I guarantee you, they don't miss my mail. Y'all come on in the backyard.
To the backyard. Wonder what the neighbors think.
They're not really big LSU fans, you know.
We'll keep it down. So serious is her relationship, if something she brings home is not already LSU colors. Hey, Barbara, I found your LSU shower curtain.
Oh, okay.
She paints it.
And these stools, I redid these stools.
Oh, even when you sit, it's LSU. Remember the fire hydrant? You painted it yourself.
Oh, I paint everything, yes indeed.
Indeed, the garage door, too. It's your masterpiece.
Everybody finds my house like that.
Now her deep freezer finally gets the Tiger treatment. And when it's her time to go to Tiger heaven.
I will be laid out in purple and gold.
Because LSU in life means LSU forever. Amen.
Amen to that, positively, yes.
For 20 years, Barbara Longbotham had LSU football season tickets.
When somebody says that they got something for me, it's LSU.
And she still has the ticket.
Please,
Because the best
please make that first.
seat in the house is her house.
What can I do with a red one?
Bill Wood,
I'm certainly not Alabama.
WGNO News.
She's standing on business
I
on that
love her.
last line.
I love her.
Let's first give a shout out to WGNO in New Orleans
Yeah.
for the production of
Yeah.
that. Wild Bill Wood getting it done. Rick Urbach is the news director over there. He texted me. He said, "Hey, here's some great things that you guys can incorporate into your show." So first of all, amazing content.
100%.
Gotta love that.
100%.
Barbara Longbotham.
Longbotham.
I don't know what I'm more like. I don't know if I'm more impressed by her or have a little bit of sympathy for her neighbors. There's a lot going on there. The garage door kind of did me in.
She's almost like a national treasure in and of
Oh,
herself.
she's that for sure.
Okay, so as we learned the age from our buddy Wild Bill Wood, she was if she's 40, if she celebrated her birthday this year, she was born in 1942. Since then, she's been able to celebrate 8 baseball national championships, football national championships in 1958, 2003, 2007, of course, 2019, a women's basketball championship in 2023, and a gymnastics championship in 2024. So she's seen a lot of success. She picked a good team.
And I feel as though she probably was there in person for several of those 100%. As well, despite not actually graduating from LSU. You don't have to do that to have the right type of fandom. The fire hydrant, is that legal?
That's the very first thing I said.
Can you do that?
I did not think so, but it might be a situation where even if it's not legal, she got grandfathered in.
Someone said, you know what? Even if it's not legal, the police department said, you know what? We're gonna let her have that.
This one's okay.
This is the only thing that's appropriate. Okay, that was impressive. That was wild. And that was Wild Bill Wood.
And that's a great story too. And everybody wants to know, when people live to be a certain age, usually beyond the average age of life, everybody wants to know what the secret is. And so you hear stories everywhere about like, hey, there's a 100-year-old person who still runs, half miles or half marathons or whatever. I think the secret to her living past, the 70s.
Yep. I mean,
the LSU Tigers. I think they give her juice.
They have given her juice. There's no question about that. And I just Googled this. Can you paint a fire hydrant in New Orleans? No.
Yeah.
So in New Orleans, painting a fire hydrant is not allowed without explicit authorization. So she must have written a letter to someone somewhere and said, this cannot be read because Alabama, I mean, she obviously just took a shot at the Tide. She's like, I am not going to look out my window every day and see this monstrosity of a red fire hydrant in my yard. And she stood on business and she painted that thing.
Despite every other one she sees is red. Honestly, I love it. And if they did give her special permission to do so, kudos to the city or whatever government entity that allowed that, because I just think it's awesome. And it completes the whole house. It completes the neighborhood.
Yep. No doubt about that. Guys, we will talk more about this game coming up a little bit later in the show. We're going to go to break really quick, and coming up next, cannot wait to have a new guest from Nexstar Nation join Southeast Sports Plus all the way from Indianapolis, Indiana. We will check in with Mr. Chris Hagan coming up in just a couple minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back in, everybody. Southeast Sports Plus rolling right along into our second half hour. Simone, like Gary Mathagani, Patrick Walsh joining you. And this show is called Southeast Sports Plus. So we always talk the Southeast, no question.
Right.
But every now and then we make an exception to let someone north of the Mason-Dixon come on the show, especially if they're from Next Star Nation and especially if they're a good friend of the show. So without further ado, hello, how are you, Mr. Chris Hagan, joining us from Indianapolis, who Alabama roots, though. We'll have to start there, Chris, because you are from the great state of Alabama.
Well, I was raised in Birmingham, Alabama, but I was born in Mississippi, and I thought I was coming on the show to talk about the best team in the Southeastern Conference, Mississippi State, fresh off their win over Arizona State. But you know what? If you need me to talk about something else, I can. But I had to get a little Hail State while I had you guys' attention.
If he doesn't bring entertainment to everywhere he goes, then what are we doing? I mean, this is the best in the business for a reason. Chris, before we ever even talk about Notre Dame in this matchup that at the moment no one is losing sleep over, let's talk about those Bulldogs and this $500,000 fine. What do you think about that?
You know what? If I could add into the money, I would do it. I would send my 401k just to celebrate that win. As a lifelong State fan, I'd seen so many games go with that script. You blow the 17-0 lead. You're losing in the fourth quarter. They showed the kicker warming up on the sideline to maybe kick a game-tying field goal. I said, sit down, son. We won't get anywhere near a field goal. I've seen this before. And then what do you know? We throw it deep. I scream so loud. I didn't have my voice for the next day when we did the Colts pregame show. But, yeah, find us all you want as long as we keep getting wins. Won 2 games all of last season. Already have 2 now. Yep. So everything now is just playing with house money.
Honestly, at this point, it's all on the up and up. There's no question. Chris, we know that you have definitely roots down here in the South. But looking ahead to this game against Texas A&M, this is a game A&M, Notre Dame went head-to-head last year in College Station. Of course, the Irish went in, got a big win in that game. And right now, the Aggies looking to return the favor in South Bend. What are your initial thoughts on this matchup right now?
Well, I think it's the worst time for Texas A&M or anybody to be going up to South Bend to take on the Irish. They lost that season opener down there in Miami. So this is pretty much a must-win, even though it's only the second game of the season for the Fighting Irish. You know, last year they lost to Northern Illinois and had to win 10 straight just to get into the playoffs before reaching the national championship game. If they fall to 0-2, nothing but pressure to win from here on out. The schedule's a little tougher than it was last year. So you're going in to face a Notre Dame team that's, by the way, had 2 weeks to get ready for this one. They're back home. The last time they played at home was a night game in the playoffs against Indiana. I was there. Electric atmosphere. I'll think you'll see the same come Saturday night. Well, thanks for saying hi while you were up there.
First of all, I was there because my dad is a season ticket holder. And on that note, I'm going to tell a very quick story. My mom is in town. She flew down here from Ohio, right? And she's coming in for Grandparents' Day. It's my kid's first Grandparents' Day. And she's leaving at 6 a.m. on Saturday. Okay, so I'm going to see her for like 40 seconds later on today because we have high school football on Friday. She's swooping in, going to Grandparents' Day, and she's leaving. So I asked her last night, I picked her up at the airport. I said, Mom, you could not have booked an earlier flight on a Saturday. Like, my God almighty. Like, she said, I got to get to South Bend. I said, so let me get this straight. You're coming down here to see my son for Grandparents' Day, and then you are hightailing it out of here so you can go watch a college football game, which I would give my left arm to go see. So that naturally, of course, what else would you expect from a grandmother?
Yes, she's very efficient with her time. She'll get in, she'll get out, and get right back to what's really important, of course, college football.
No question.
I was about to say, that's perfect scheduling from your mom.
I was impressed, and I have fallen totally by the wayside. So anyway, we can move forward with the program.
All right, so I wanted to ask you, you mentioned last year an early loss, and then they had to rattle off a bunch of wins to make the college football playoff, ended up going to the national championship game. That was with a quarterback that was a senior who's now with the Indianapolis Colts right there in your neighborhood, and Riley Leonard. There's a quarterback that wears his same number 13, that's there now. He's a true freshman. How do you think he handles this spot, given the early loss and then what's ahead for this season?
Well, I thought he showed tremendous poise in that Week 1 loss, bringing the team back. They were down 21-7, talking about, of course, C.J. Carr. And to be making his first career start in that environment, he really acquitted himself well in that fourth quarter. And you like to think not only a team, but an individual makes their biggest leap from Week 1 to Week 2. And the teammates rallied around him. Remember, he had to win a quarterback battle. This wasn't just handed to him coming in and taking the place of Riley. This is something he had to earn. Marcus Freeman has great confidence in him. And he showed flashes of why he can be so good late in that game as they rallied and almost came all the way back against the Hurricanes.
Yeah, big one there for C.J. Carr and company. As it relates to Marcus Freeman in this defense, what do you expect them to throw at Marcel Reed? Because he's obviously had a fantastic 2 games to start the season. And as you mentioned, I think this defense last year was kind of the calling card for this Notre Dame football team. They had a bunch of leaders there on the defense. What do you think the defense does to attack this offense that's been on a hot streak over the first 8 quarters?
You talk about making adjustments from week 1 to week 2. Don't forget there's a new defensive coordinator for the Irish. Chris Ash replaces Al Golden, who went back to the NFL. So some adjustments need to be made, and a very different quarterback that they saw in week 1 with Carson Beck. This is a different animal to attack, and I think that it will be a much different game plan, and they could suffer from a different kind of quarterback from week to week. As we know, they have different skill sets. So I think they'll try to turn up the pressure, but also be careful, because this is a guy that can tuck it and run and beat you with some design runs.
Chris, Notre Dame being an independent school, it's one of those teams where you kind of just have to go week to week for them to prove it regularly throughout the year. How good are they going to be? They're not really stacking up against conference opponents. Next week they're going to play Purdue. How does the Texas A&M game, like such here this weekend, kind of set the tone for what this team can be, or maybe exploit what they aren't any longer after making a run to the national championship game a year ago?
Well, despite losing in that first game, they're still in the top 10, and a win this week would get them back on the map and keep them in that discussion. If you fall to 0-2, you're going to be playing uphill for the rest of the season. So this is a marquee game for them. They don't have conference games. They don't have a conference championship where they can kind of, backdoor their way into the playoffs. This is a must win, as we said earlier. And you need to get we talked about C.J. Carr. You need to get Jeremiah Love going on the ground. You need to get Jaden Greathouse. You remember in that national championship, Greathouse, 6 catches, 128 yards, 2 TDs. In week 1, 0 catches. I expect that to change. I expect Love to have a much better day on the ground. He had 10 carries for only 33 yards. So Carr needs to utilize the weapons he has around them, and I think you'll see each and every man step up and have their best effort, because you can't go 0-2, especially when you don't have conference games and a chance to stay in that discussion. You win come Saturday night, you're right back where you want to be. You'll stay in the top 10, and you'll just be stacking wins from here on out.
Chris, professionally speaking, I know it's been a really slow time for you guys, with Pacers and Caitlin Clark and, the NFL season, the college football season, I could go on. How do you compare everything? I was like, everything. How do you balance what it is that you're doing and keep your beautiful head of hair? And then how do you kind of navigate the kind of where you are? I mean, such a central part of the state, and you're dealing with like a Notre Dame, right, who's kind of their own little everything out over there, and then you've got West Lafayette, and you're dealing with Purdue, and you got Indiana, and then of course all the schools in between. How do you kind of navigate your coverage plan, what it is that you're doing, and how you stay so youthful?
Well, I'm going to take that as being very truthful on your part, Simone, and not being sarcastic in the least. Never have you done that before. It is fun. I mean, you talk about this. It's a job, and it can be there can be a lot to get to. But when you think about it, we're not out there digging ditches. We're not out there working the assembly line. We're getting to watch sports, and then, as I said earlier, even when I'm off, I'm watching college football. Yeah. I'm lucky enough to be a voter for the Heisman Trophy, so I like to take in as many games as possible. And even if I was a lawyer, or a doctor, even more far-fetched, I would still be watching sports 24/7. And as you mentioned, Purdue, IU, Ball State, Notre Dame, and then we're in the midst this weekend. The Fever will start the playoffs. The Colts, they'll be at home this weekend, week 2, a lot of excitement around them. And let's not forget, college basketball is right around the corner. Purdue will start the season in the top 5, if not number 1 in the nation. So much excitement. We had the WNBA All-Star game here. We had the NBA All-Star game here last year. So never a dull moment for Indianapolis sports. And so it's always great to kind of let people know. I know Indiana's one of the, flyover states. And when I grew up in the South, I didn't know much about Indiana. Heck, I didn't even know that Notre Dame was in Indiana. But there's so much going on. The NCAA is based here. There's awesome things always going on. It's a great sports town, great people, very much like the South. If you ever get a chance to come up here and check it out, I know, Simone, you've got Midwest roots, so you know how it is up here. It's great people, great sports, and somehow they actually pay me to do this.
Yeah, it is kind of a slice of heaven. It's like a slice of the South right up there in the Midwest. Growing up in Ohio and being a lifelong Notre Dame fan, you certainly understand all of that. I'm also a Heisman Trophy voter. However, Gerhard really does the vote because he watches a lot more college football. So we get down to the end of the year, and now that I have a 3-year-old, I don't watch nearly enough games. I'm like, hey, man, this is due in like an hour. Can you tell me quick what to put in?
Well, you do. It is something, we joke about it, but I take it, very seriously because this is someone's legacy. Yeah. If you're a Heisman Trophy winner, you may not have the best pro career, but you will end up being in those Nissan commercials every year. You'll get a paycheck for that. And it's like winning the Indy 500. No matter where you go, they'll say Heisman Trophy winner or Indy 500 winner. It's one of those things in sports that really sets you apart from all your contemporaries.
Yeah. I was going to ask another football question, but this actually made me want to think about something a little bit bigger. You mentioned the Indy 500. It separates itself from the rest of open wheel racing. What we've seen with Caitlin Clark this past 3 years has been unbelievable. There being where she is right now, being a person that's covering somebody who almost supersedes the sport in a lot of ways. What has that been like from your perspective and watching and covering somebody day in and day out from somebody that has just kind of ballooned into this huge, ridiculously monster sports figure, not just in women's basketball, not just in hoops, but across sports overall?
Well, what's great is, you always have a perception of people. I've been lucky enough. I've interviewed Will Smith, Brad Pitt, some of the biggest superstars in the world, and entertainment and in sports. And you have a preconceived notion, but it's not until you look them in the eye and talk to them that you find out what they're really like. So I didn't know what to expect from Caitlin Clark. She seems, I don't want to say cocky, but confident, a lot of smack talk, which is good. I met her in person a couple of times, interviewed her, couldn't be nicer. Answers questions, very thoughtful, not just, token answers, listens to your question, takes it in. And when you see her on the court, even on the bench now, I've been waiting for her to get a technical from the bench because she is yelling at the officials. And I mean, she's dropping some choice words on these officials. So even though she's out for the season, she's been very engaged, supporting her teammates, and she's all about winning and being a competitor. But then, like a lot of, athletes, sometimes they're one way on the floor, one way on the field, and then somehow they flip that switch when they get off, and they're a completely different person as far as being nice, personable, thoughtful. And that's really what she is. And in all these games she's missed, home and on the road, she's made a point to show up for the game. She doesn't have to do that. She gets out there before and after, signs autographs, because she knows so many people probably bought those tickets way in advance to see her play. They didn't get that opportunity, spent a lot of money to go see her play. So at least face-to-face, shake some hands and sign some autographs and make memories like that. So, I would say just an awesome person, although I do know some college coaches in this area, I won't say their names, Big Ten coaches, aren't fans of hers based on how she acted in Big Ten play, but that's all in the heat of battle.
Listen, that's kind of the best part of it.
No question.
You can deal with it or you can't. It's too hot, get out the kitchen. Hagen, in a lot of ways, you kind of paved the way for shows like this, Next Star Nation, for us to be able to do things like this. You do Big Game Bound, and you have for several years there with JP. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like this year, and you're going to have a little bit of a different setup and just kind of what all it entails as far as your weekly show in the NFL.
Well, just when they thought I was not doing enough work, they add more work for this year's edition of Big Game Bound. Now we're going like a half hour. I talk until they tell me to shut up. But we have a marquee matchup. We do something like this. We bring in one of the Next Star reporters to talk about the biggest game of the week. We bring in Jared Payton, the son of Walter Payton, the son of Sweetness. We have Payton's picks with him. Don't tell him I said this, but he went 0-3 in week 1 with his picks. So we're looking for a rebound this week. And also this week, this year we have the fantasy focus. We have an expert that comes in and talks about fantasy players maybe you want to pick up, some picks to click, or maybe some players that it's time to say goodbye to. We try to help you out that way because let's face it, that is a huge part of the landscape now. The NFL has embraced the gambling. They have all these, in-game promos about who's supposed to win, prop bets, and fantasy football. The NFL loves that because not only are you sitting there watching the Colts, you're watching the Broncos, you're watching the Bengals. Hey, that's my tight end over there for the Raiders. That's my place kicker. Don't tell me he missed an extra point. So you really embrace that. And then, as we talked about earlier, it makes you want to watch so many more games because you have a vested interest. So we try to hit all those angles on Big Game Bound. It leads all the way up to Super Bowl 60. That's when we have the big Radio Row show. and we bring in some of the biggest names ever in pro football. And then on game day, we do the big pregame show, and then I finally catch my breath and watch Simone dance to the halftime show.
And you were right there front and center for that. Chris, you're in good company when it comes to gambling. First, I got to bring Patrick in for this conversation because when it comes to bets and prop bets and all this, I mean, like it is. And I told the guys on the show that 2 days ago, we were talking about betting and all the things that you can bet on. And I kind of told the story about us walking into Caesars there in New Orleans, Super Bowl week, and realizing that there's a book this thick to be able to bet on the Super Bowl. And I was stunned by that. And you grabbed the thing and you opened it up and you're flipping through it. And I mean, this is the guy who really kind of like initiated the entire gambling life for me. And then these two here, Hagen, just so you know, they're trying to, bring me along. I got kicked out of my own fantasy league in the station this year because I enough attention. They said, Simone, can we replace you? And then it let me respond. It just kicks me out. I'm like, guys, I mean, there goes me caring about the NFL, I guess.
Hagen, you be proud of this. She is this close to making her first sports bet.
Yes.
She said on the show the other day that she really loves Tennessee. And you know how, I don't know if you've seen the line movement, but the line has moved about 3 points. That's all the pro money. She loves the Vols getting a big upset. So, you know what? I think between the three of us, we're making good progress on her really embracing the sports gambling, sports wagering lifestyle.
You know, what's funny is 2 years ago when I suggested to Jared Payton that we do a segment called Payton's Picks, he said, Chris, I've never gambled a day in my life. And now here we are 2 years later, and he's like, I really like the 14 parlay. I'd like to do a teaser. I'm like, what has happened to you, Jared? But it is one of those things, and this is a total disclaimer, and this is what I tell everybody. Bet what makes you comfortable. And for some people, $5 is an exciting bet. Bet as much as where you're happy to win, but it doesn't kill you to lose. And sometimes, if that's $10 and you've bet on the Detroit Tigers in baseball and that makes you enjoy that 2.5 hours, that's fine. Now, for some people, you hear stories about Michael Jordan and guys like that they say, hey, he lost $100,000 in one weekend. Well, for Jordan, that was like us losing a dime. So do it for the enjoyment. Don't do it to put yourself in the poorhouse, because you can do that. It can get away from you. But if you pick one game a week, that's what I like to do in the NFL, one college game, you settle in. And the way I explain it to people, they're like, why do you like to gamble? I'm like, well, I love watching Mississippi State football. When I have money on a game, it's like every team is Mississippi State. The team I have money on, I cheer for them just as hard. It means just as much, even though I don't have my cowbell for those games. It really adds a little something to it. And the same thing with fantasy sports. In my league, it's a money league. The better you do, the more money you make. And the worse you do, you owe money the next season. So as sports fans anyway, we love sports, but when you add a little extra spice to it, it's all the more fun.
Well, listen, Hagen, I agree with you. Either bet what makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
Or find a good friend and bet their money like you and I did in New Orleans. I just got to hit the button the whole time, and I was losing your money. And then when I won, I wasn't winning any money. I just tried to convince you to leave it on the table.
I've never seen a person lose more money with not knowing what they're doing. Just bam, bam.
That sounds about right.
That was exactly how it went.
Every pound of that button is $2. You're just giving away $2 a pop every 5 seconds. But yeah, it is funny when I think the best gambler is an educated gambler. And it is, as you mentioned, you need to watch those point spreads move, because those spreads move when big money is coming in. And usually people aren't putting big money in, that's not done their research. So it is interesting, too, when you can see the percentage of people betting on something is one thing, but then the money can often be different.
Yep.
So maybe fewer people betting on something, but more money going. And you think those are the people, they call those the sharps. And so you look out for sharp games. I have a guy that sends me stuff every week about the biggest line moves from the opening line until Thursday of that week. And usually the way those moves they're in the right direction.
So all right. Well, we've got all four of us sitting here, and I'll be the little moderator. All right. So what do we like this weekend, guys? I don't even know what I'm asking.
For the Texas A&M Notre Dame game.
Let's go with Texas A&M Notre Dame, guys. What's the line?
This is another one that's changed by 3 points, and as Chris just mentioned, this might mean some big money has come in. It opened Notre Dame 9.5 point favorite. It is now down to 6.5. So that means a lot of money has come in on Texas A&M. If you're just reading the line movement in and of itself. Because of that line movement, I normally back those guys, but I don't know if you get the right number at 6.5. Since it is at 6.5, I'm gonna take the Fighting Irish to win by a touchdown.
Okay.
I gotta
nervously.
This is a tough one. See, I'm big on my player props. Jeremiah Love 2+ tutties.
Okay. Hagen?
I like how Patrick says, this is a tough one. They're all tough ones.
Nothing's easy.
If it was easy, I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys. I'd be living in New Orleans or Las Vegas. I actually, and this is how Vegas loves to get you. Vegas loves for the favorite to win but not cover. That way they're not giving away money line bets to the underdog, and they're not paying people who bet the favorites laying the points. And I think this is a perfect indication of that. I think Notre Dame will win. I do not think they will cover. I'd love to have had A&M plus the 9.5, but I'd still take them plus the 6.5. Remember, this is quarterback just making his second career start. I think the defense will have a little trouble with that A&M offense. So I like Notre Dame to win this like 24-20. Maybe you get a late score. Maybe it takes a late score to hit that number for A&M. But I think A&M will get the cover.
Okay, last one. Straight up. Straight up, who wins it? Tennessee or Georgia?
I'll take Tennessee.
It's a straight up win.
Yeah, this is money line.
Yeah.
Tennessee. Yeah. They break the curse.
Tennessee.
I like the Vols as well.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought I was going out on something with that. So there goes my first bet ever. It wasn't really anything special. So there you go.
The sportscaster curse, if all four of us pick the same thing,
It's
take all your money.
It's going the other way.
Kirby's rolling.
It's going the other way.
Exactly.
Hagen, before we let you go, because wow, this went off the rails, but in the best way, really quickly. Anything else you wanted to add about Notre Dame, about college football, about your gambling expertise while you're here?
Well, as long as I got my cowbell, I'll tell you this: that Mississippi State has Alcorn State, then they have Northern Illinois that did beat Notre Dame last year. But if State can handle their business the next 2 weeks, they'll be 4-0 and then hosting Tennessee, and that would be a real chance to make some noise and get ranked. But let's handle Alcorn State first, because I have watched enough Mississippi State football to remember when they lost to the University of Maine on the home field. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, Maine has a football team? And, yeah, they came into Starkville and they won. So, no, I don't know. What am I?
I have no idea. Patrick, you're from up there in the north and in the northeast. Is Maine?
Yeah,
I'm not from Maine. I'm from New York.
It's up there. It's all up Maine Black Bears. The Maine Black Bears. Yeah. They are in the CAA. What is that?
That's like Colonial. The Colonial
Coastal.
Athletic.
The Coastal.
Coastal Athletic.
Must be the coast out there.
I guarantee you, in their athletic office, they have a giant picture of them celebrating at Scott Field in Starkville the time they beat an SEC team.
Win. Yeah.
So yeah.
The University of Maine.
What I love about college football is I grew up loving college football more than pro football. So now when players come into the Colts locker room, I love to go man for man and talk about their college teams. And all these guys, they carry so much pride with them. They talk smack to each other. Guys in their locker room, they make bets, very substantial bets, I might add, between each other. So it all starts with, you guys know, high school football on to college and then on to the pros. And it all starts at a young age, and not just like us. We love it from when we were youngsters, and we love it now. And now that you can throw some money in the mix, it's even better.
100%.
Well, Chris, listen, when you're as good as you are, you sign yourself up for a lot of work, and that's what just happened today, because we'll see you next week as we continue to talk college football. So just go ahead and just make it a regular appearance. I'll let you know, and you got to bring the cowbell with you, especially if State continues to roll.
So which one of you guys is sending me the Venmo for this appearance? Patrick, is that you?
Wait, Patrick's got the deep wallet.
Hey, I would have sent it to you had the Pacers won the NBA championship.
Yeah, this guy's a big Pacers guy now.
Ouch. That's a story for another day, but get a look.
Oh, you and me both. We could go on forever about that.
All right. Hail State. See you guys later.
Appreciate you. Chris Hagen joining us from Indianapolis, man. Not only unbelievably great at what he does, but also a really, really good friend. And he's really busy, but he's going to get busier because he's coming back on Southeast Sports Plus at some point. So
he was great. I've only seen his work on television, but now we're talking to him. Awesome.
One of the first things I told you after I met Hagen was, you are like Hagen, but here in Mobile. And then when meeting him, it's like you guys are like the same person in a lot of ways. It's in the best ways. All right, guys, going to take a quick break because we are over a lot after that segment with Chris. We will be right back.
Outbound transmission?
Affirmative.
Crew ready?
Check.
Signal lock?
Check.
Downstream stations online?
Linked and locked.
Let's light this candle.
Flame on.
In 3, 2, roll show open.
In our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus Live with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
Southeast Sports Plus on a Thursday, rolling into hour number 2 and rolling right into week number 3, guys, of the college football slate. Welcome in Simone, Gerhard, Patrick, joining you again Thursday, guys, right around the corner. We're going to do Saturday once again, and lots of teams are going to be playing in conference as we look ahead to some of these big games. One of them, obviously, that stands out is the rivalry, so to speak, we talked about off the top of the hour, last hour, and that's LSU and Florida going head-to-head. Two programs that have a heated rivalry but are in a little bit of different places right now, G.
They certainly are. Going into this matchup, Florida just lost in embarrassing fashion to South Florida. They're at home in the Swamp. They want redemption, of course. LSU coming off that monster win in Clemson in game 1. They came back and had a bit of a lackluster performance in week 2 against Louisiana Tech. Only scored 23 points. However, they did get the win. They did what Florida could not do and be able to get the win. So I think both teams come in hungry, but from different perspectives.
Yep.
Brian Kelly and company coming in hungry off a win, and Billy Napier and company coming in hungry off a desperate loss.
Yeah, and desperation was the word you literally took the word out of my mouth. Hungry, but also desperate to want to desperate loss, but also they're desperate to get back right, especially given that Billy Napier kind of came into the season with some question marks after last year, not really knowing, riding the ship. And then you got guys like DJ Lagway that you're looking forward to seeing how things roll out there. Let's take a listen to Coach Napier as they gear up for this big one in the Bayou.
Look, every scoring possession that they had in the game, we had a chance to get off the field on 3rd or 4th down, right? Every time they scored points in the game. Field goals, the touchdown. So that's one of the emphasis is you got to get off the field, and I think that we had 3 possessions in the first half on offense, right? They had the ball. We had long possessions, but they had the ball as well. So we got to score touchdowns when we get into the scoring area of the field. Okay, 21-6 is a lot different than 9-6. Okay, so there's a lesson to be learned here. You got to score touchdowns in the red zone in this league. After turnover margin and the explosive plays, it's red zone scoring, period. And our defense did a nice job of stopping them and forcing field goals, but we got to finish. We got a chance to make some plays when we get it down there, and we got to do that. So, I think we need to be better there going forward.
So Billy Napier pointed out several issues that he viewed going after that loss there to South Florida last week, not only on the defensive end but also on the offensive end. And when you look at numbers like 11 of 25 on 3rd down, you got to give credit to the defense, but also wonder, hey, what's not going well offensively for the Gators right now, G?
Yeah, and I think if you're DJ Lagway and company, this is a real gut check time for them, and I think they could point to specific things. And Billy Napier talked about this. When you paint a game with a broad brush and you talk about just the scoreboard, that's one thing. But if you dissect it in more increments, you realize that Florida had every opportunity to win this game. And so we'd be sitting in a different conversation here with two teams that are 2-0, and maybe Florida came away with a win that they really did not play well in, like LSU did. But now I think that coming into this matchup, I think if you're Florida, it's not the end of the world. It's not like the Bama-Florida State game. It's a different kind of loss. And, and I think going into this, if you're Florida, things have to work out really well, in my opinion, it's for you to get the result that you want. Here's my caveat.
Uh-oh.
Let's say LSU comes out and dominates this game. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but let's just say LSU comes out and wins this game by 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
I think the season's over for Florida. I think that the wheels will go off the rails.
That's strong.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Not only because of what goes on in that game or these two games with South Florida in this game, but what's on down the road for the Florida Gators.
No question about that.
And if you're already looking at 2 losses going into week 4, your chance at a playoff is almost all but cooked.
Yes.
Because you have no margin of error for almost the rest of the season.
Well, at this point, if you're, in my opinion, not to interrupt you, but if you're basing the success of the season at Florida right now on playoff or bust, I think that's strong. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have the expectation.
Right.
Everyone in the SEC, including Chris Hagan cheering for Mississippi State, thinks that their team's going to be in the playoff, and if they're not, that's a failure of the year. But I think that would be a strong goal for Florida. But I agree with what you said in that you lose to LSU, and then you go into playing a Miami team who's playing well, another in-state team, another possibility of losing to. It is demoralizing.
Yeah.
It is demoralizing for you. Why do you think Alabama won't play anybody in the state? They won't play anybody in the state except for the one they got to play because it's demoralizing. And you start to lose recruits. You start to lose any sort of faith in what it is that you're doing. You lose the fan base. Because guess what? Your uncle's buddy is a Miami fan.
Yeah.
And you think he wants to hear it all the time? No. That's how the fan base gets more and more amped up, more and more mad. The pressure, the temperature. I mean, ADs, they've got buddies that got people across the road. They're like, uh-oh. I mean, don't let the Canes get you. Don't let the Canes get you 3 in a row else.
Yep.
I mean, because you're right. So I think it is a very slippery slope because then it's Texas, the Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Georgia. I mean, this is the SEC, but also you want to start strong in these early in the gimmick games, which they did with Long Island, but then took a huge back seat against South Florida.
Mind you, who was in the top 10 in the preseason poll just last year? Florida State. They lost a couple games, and the wheels fell off quickly.
Yep.
I see a similar situation happening with the Gators.
Yeah.
I really
and
just
there's
do.
Been a lot of parallels between, obviously Coach Norvell and Billy Napier when it comes to just and they've been there different timelines. But I think that, again, what you get in the state of Florida. And you made a good point the other day when you said you don't have to look far to get some of the best recruits in the country.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are right there in the high schools that, took everybody out of the states that are neighboring to them or something like that.
Florida
State. How that goes,
Yeah, Florida State, Miami, South Florida, Central Florida. For most of them, their rosters are 80% Florida kids.
Yep. Looking across the league, guys, for games that are in conference games. Again, there's lots of teams that are still either have already played, they're back out of conference, or they just haven't gotten there yet. But Tennessee, of course, will welcome in Georgia. The top 15 battle that between the 3 of us, we all think the Volunteers could walk away with a win there in Rocky Top Neyland Stadium. I certainly think that there's a possibility there. LSU and Florida, like you mentioned, A&M will be out of the conference playing against Notre Dame. But back in conference, South Carolina welcomes in Vanderbilt. Next up, though, guys, the one game I have my eye on here is this Ole Miss-Arkansas matchup there in Oxford. Because I think Lane Kiffin has had a quiet confidence about him this offseason.
Absolutely.
It's not like he's getting all the headlines. And a lot of times, Lane Kiffin goes into the season with all the headlines, or somebody that Lane Kiffin has, front and center, be it a quarterback or be it a guy, a skill position, gets a lot of the headlines. Right now, Ole Miss is kind of that team, in my opinion, waiting in the wings, who could, at the end of the day, be there, and everyone's like, okay, well, Ole Miss is here, or are they gonna, flake out? Right.
Ole Miss to me is so interesting because no Jackson Dart, no Quinshon Junkins, obviously Junkins from 2 years ago, but they just seem to reload every single year. And this Ole Miss team obviously looks different from a quarterback perspective, but Austin Simmons did play a little bit last year. They've kind of looked like the old Ole Miss team over the first 2 games, but you've mentioned Lane Kiffin, and he's been so different. And when we first kicked off this show, one of the very first things that Brian Holland, the sports director out of WGNO down in New Orleans, one of the things he said was that Lane Kiffin didn't say much during SEC Media Days. And he normally comes in with a message and with a point and everything else. But he has now elevated this program to a point where they are now expected to be in the top 20, top 15. Now it's can they bust that door open and be in the top 12, make the college football playoff. This to me is it's a dangerous game because Arkansas comes in with some confidence after.
Some confidence.
Yes.
They're feeling even though it's Arkansas State and they're 2-0.
Right. Yeah.
And they got nothing to lose at this point.
Exactly. And I think that this is a really interesting quarterback matchup with Green on the other side against Simmons. I'm really, really interested in this matchup, not only for where Ole Miss is right now, but for where they can be moving forward. We've seen what the offense has been like, but this was really interesting. And the fact that the spread right now, 7.5.
I know. I was
7.5.
I was just looking at that too. Not that I know a lot about betting, but I'm learning every day.
I just feel like Las Vegas, the odds makers, are setting a trap.
Yep.
They're saying, hey, you've seen Lane Kiffin just walk up and down these teams. Go bet the Rebels.
Yep.
And you might end up like you did last week against Kentucky.
Let's take a listen to Lane Kiffin as they gear up for the Hogs.
Really challenging week, playing against Arkansas, preparing for them. Really good team with dynamic offense and really dynamic quarterback. One of the top offenses statistically in the country, and run and pass. So these guys present a lot of challenge. Coach Petrino's done a great job there. Even in our game last year, that they did as well as anybody offensively against us in moving the ball and different things. So, and on defense, prior to last year, they really had we had some tough games against them. So we're gonna have to prepare really well and play our best game of the year. We got a lot to clean up from last week, especially turnovers and lack of getting turnovers. You're not going to win many SEC games -2 in turnover margin. So we got to definitely clean that up.
So last season, this game, Ole Miss won in a huge way, 63-31. But
yeah.
Lane Kiffin is that guy. He does it almost as much as anybody I've ever seen. He's going to reference previous matchups and what the history says.
Right.
So some coaches that will go and look what Arkansas has done in 2 games, and of course they always do go back to see what did you do against our scheme, same head coaches, obviously Sam Pittman, and so you get an idea, you get a feel for what the dynamic could be, how it could be similar.
Right.
Nobody does it more than Lane Kiffin. He references history of games more than any coach I've probably ever listened to talk.
And I think that the play caller in him, he understands, okay, this is the way I want to attack this defense. And so he commits those things to memory. Sam Pittman across the way, we attacked it this way. Now, Jackson Dart had an incredible game last year. If I remember right, I just remember him.
Looking at it now, he was 21 of 30. He was 25 of 31 with 6 touchdowns.
Yes, that's the part that I remember.
I mean, that right there, that's all you got to know there. But on the other end, I think that right now, Arkansas feeling good about the horses that they have, or the hogs, we should say, the hogs they have right now, in the season where they're at the moment. Coming up after the break, guys, we are going to break things down with this Arkansas-Ole Miss matchup. Welcome in the new sports director there in Fayetteville, Mr. Trey Dare. We'll have him in just a few minutes here on Southeast Sports Plus. Stay with us. We'll return in a couple. Rolling right along on this Thursday afternoon as we are talking week 3 of the college football season. Guys, Simone Gerhard-Patrick joining you, and excited to welcome in the newest addition to Next Star Nation there in Fayetteville, Trey Dare, the new sports director. Trey, appreciate your time, sir. I know it's a very busy time for everybody as we're kind of gearing up for this crazy SEC slate that's ahead. And officially, your team, Arkansas Razorbacks, will be on the road in Oxford to play Ole Miss. What's your first just thought process on where this team is at right now, being 2-0 in the year?
Yeah, guys, what's going on? Happy to be here. Love SEC football. Really diving into all that Arkansas has done here in the summer. It's been a busy fall camp. Mm-hmm. Really impressed by what I see. Bobby Petrino. I was here years ago. Whenever he was here, 2010, 2011, they won 21 games back-to-back years. Went to the Sugar Bowl, went to the Cotton Bowl, and it looks pretty familiar. Like really organized in fall camp. No wasted motions, as I'm sure a lot of the higher programs with a very finite number of hours you can spend with these kids. You cannot waste time in practice. That was a big theme. And this is an older team, maybe not overly talented as far as high-end NFL prospects. There's some, certainly, and Taylor Green is likely going to get drafted. Even if he's not drafted, he's going to be given every opportunity to be a quarterback in the NFL just because of his skill set, if that's in a backup role or whatever it could evolve into. But a very old team, very experienced team. And a lot of that shows that they have been extremely prepared for these first 2 games, in particular the Arkansas State game. Guys, they had 285 yards in their first 14 plays. This might be the best offense in the SEC. Tennessee right now narrowly ahead of them in yards per game. But Arkansas is putting up some massive numbers. And Taylor Green is right at the forefront of that. 4th in the nation right now in yards per game. And yeah, Alabama A&M, that is what it is, right? The 1AA kind of preseason opponent. But Arkansas State won 8 games a year ago. No. Butch Jones has made millions and millions of dollars as a head coach. Yep. That's a good program. They win 7, 8, 9 games a year in a Sun Belt conference. It's probably become, I don't know, the 2nd, 3rd best soon-to-be group of 6 conference out there. So really impressed by what I see with Arkansas. Big time weekend this week, though. Yep. Those out there that dabble, all for it here. 9.5 point line, bet down to 6.5. So somebody out there knows something that somebody maybe doesn't want to know.
Trey, you got to come on the show and you got to talk about betting, of course. These listen, Patrick and Gerhard, and we just had Chris Hagan in Indianapolis in the last segment, and all they do is talk about betting. And I'm sitting here like a blind duck, just sitting like I have no idea it's just too much.
Trey, I love that you brought that up because we mentioned the line movement earlier, and one of the
that's a lot of points. That is a lot of points.
A lot of points early on in the week, and it lets you just know that there's some odds makers and some people out there that understand that there's a bit of a shift here in Arkansas. If you just do scoreboard watching and take what happened last year and try to project what happens this year, you're going to think, okay, well then Ole Miss will come away with a win there in Oxford. I think that, as you mentioned, that Sam Pittman and company are doing something really special with their offense. This being the first true test of the season. Once again, no disrespect to A&M and to Arkansas State. How do you think that Taylor Green will handle this environment, leaving the state of Arkansas for the first time this season and going to a really tough environment there in the Grove?
Well, you raised a good point last year. You can't just look at the scoreboard. That's just not the way the sport is played right now. The game is kind of evolved too much. These rosters change dramatically year over year. So it's a different team. Jackson Dart threw for 500 yards last year. They're gone. That defense at Ole Miss was loaded up with a bunch of dudes that are playing in the NFL. They're gone. Austin Simmons, their new quarterback, struggling. Maybe not struggling. That's not fair. But look, let's be honest. They were not overly impressive against Kentucky. Arkansas, meanwhile, been lighting it up. Taylor Green is extremely impressive. This kid, he looks like it. He walks like it. He talks like it. Whenever you build up what a big-time college football quarterback is supposed to look like, the Lamar Jacksons, the Vince Youngs, it looks like Taylor Green. Confident kid, good background, very experienced, year 2 in an NFL-type system with Bobby Petrino. So they're checking all the boxes. And people kind of want to sleep on their wide receivers, or maybe it's kind of a no-name group around college football. Omega Blake's putting up some big numbers, and everybody wants to look at transfers. Well, where did you come from, and how credible was that program? UNC Charlotte, not exactly world beaters with where this kid came from, but they're playing ball there, and this kid has gone on to bigger and better. So Sam Pittman, whenever you speak when he speaks parenthetically, you got to read between the lines with a lot of these things. No, they didn't get the highest NFL draft prospects. No, they didn't have the highest budget to deal with in the portal. But again, parenthetically, he believes they have the right mix at the right time for the right team. And hey, credit to him. And they've been putting the product out on the field, and they have been smashing people here early on.
Yeah, Trey, a minute ago we listened to Lane Kiffin talk about last year's game, and despite it being 30-some-odd points that Ole Miss won that game, he gave a lot of credit to what Arkansas was able to do in that matchup. Let's take a listen to what Sam Pittman had to say about last year's loss and the difference in this year's Hog team.
The way we got beat last year in that game, it has to have some motivation. The problem with that is a bunch of our kids that are playing on our team weren't here for it. Now, it should motivate the guys that were embarrassed because it was an embarrassing night. Certainly there are things there that we'll talk about after. We certainly need a great week of practice to prepare ourselves, but that may be part of the motivation.
Oh, I just love SEC coaches because they're the one is saying how embarrassing something is, while the other one, and always it's Lane Kiffin's got to say how great Arkansas was, and what they were able to do offensively. This is just the conference, but your takeaway from that comment there, Trey.
Well, it can't not bother you, and we've already talked about how the rosters change, right? Yeah. But the kids that are back, you see 63 points on the scoreboard. You remember that. Strong. I don't care what, if it's high school, if it's college, if it's Division III, whatever. You see that kind of number go up on the scoreboard. It's got to piss you off, and it better piss you off. And if it doesn't make the kids at Arkansas mad, then they don't have the right kind of team. So I think it's going to be a lot different. I think this really is a circle on the calendar kind of game for Arkansas. And even if the players have turned over, there's only one new coach on this Arkansas staff. So, all of these coaches are back. Yeah. They remember how it went down. And, Jackson Dart throwing for 500 yards. You got Lane Kiffin still throwing the ball in the fourth quarter. You remember that. Now, as I'm trying to talk this up and play it up and, build up some of the theater, all that stuff, keep in mind, people probably don't realize how close Lane Kiffin and Sam Pittman are to one another. Yeah. Apparently they do have a legitimate relationship. They are, call it friends. It may even go beyond just the professional realm. So, and I don't think Lane Kiffin's going to do that to Sam Pittman. You always hear these coaches say, hey, we had our backups in the game. What are we going to tell them? Right. They've earned the right to play football. Yeah. I heard James Franklin say that one time. We can't just go out there and take knees and run right behind the center and the guard over and over again. Mm-hmm. So, it was Ole Miss run up the score. Probably not. Listen, that was really the only game a year ago where Arkansas.
If there's somebody that's like Sam Pittman, they have a problem with themselves. Yeah. He is like the most likable guy. I don't know how anyone can not like him.
Extremely likable. Yeah. What a personality, and that's just a guy who is authentically him. Yeah. The cold beer and the all shucks kind of guy, and I don't know how I really got here. Man, I'm the luckiest guy.
When you're a trenches guy and you're not a skilled guy, when you're a trenches guy, man, you're just a different type of different, man. You're just more genuine, less flashy, less bells and whistles.
That is him. You go to SEC Media Day, and the first question he kind of got was. Yeah. The first question he got was pretty much like, Sam, you guys kind of suck. Like, when are you going to get better?
Did you ask it?
No, I wasn't even here yet. I was we're transitioning, still in the move. I've only been here for 5 weeks now. Yeah. But yeah, he just kind of shook his head, said man, and smiled and tried to answer it as best as he could.
Funny. Last year was such an interesting season because obviously they got that win over Tennessee, but the Texas game was really close, and the Texas A&M game was really close. Do you have a sense that they feel like there's a hump to get over and a performance they need to put together consistently and not have these up and down games where you pick up a major upset and then you lose a couple of games and next thing you know you're in bowl games that you really don't want to be in? Do you sense that this could be the start of something really special?
Well, hey, the good people in the state of Arkansas have coined the phrase, the Razorbacks are champions of almost, whenever you're talking baseball, basketball, football, no matter what it is. Almost. Champions of almost. They always get so close. So, hey, I think there's a big difference in any kind of major sport at the highest levels of amateur sports, pro sports, whatever it is. There's a big difference between competing and winning. So Arkansas was close a lot last year, except for that Ole Miss game. They got to find a way to to kick the door down. This is a huge game for them. If they win this game, they're very likely going to be in the top 25. Yep. If Taylor Green plays well, he is very likely going to be at the forefront of the September Heisman chatter, as his numbers are just off the charts. He's got 11 total touchdowns, averaging over 280 yards passing per game, averaging over 90 yards a game on the ground. Had a 64-yard touchdown rushing last week against Arkansas State. This is a big game, and I promise you, they at the University of Arkansas and these players and this coaching staff is looking at it as a big game. We can make a statement. We win this game. Now, they're not looking ahead, certainly not. But, 1 week from now, it's Ole Miss on the road. They could be 4-0, Notre Dame at home. Mm-hmm. That would shape up to be one of the biggest games in program history.
Trey, before we let you go, this is your first appearance here on Southeast Sports Plus. You just got kind of
I got to make it memorable.
Yeah, absolutely do. You just got kind of ingrained into the SEC land. Google tells me that you spent more than a decade in the Boston area, or in Boston, I should say. What ultimately brought you? He's a Patriots fan.
I was going to ask on the back end.
Situation over there. Just let Gerhard sit there for a second. He's excited to start talking about Tom Brady and company. But what brought you? I mean, obviously, the station there in Fayetteville, what you guys do is unbelievably admirable. It does huge things for our company with Pig Trail Nation. I know that it's something special to be able to lead and be a part of that team and help grow that product. What ultimately made you want to make the move with your family and be down there in Arkansas?
What's wrong with Arkansas? Why are you throwing shit on Arkansas? Who doesn't want to leave Boston for Arkansas?
I can't stand the city. Listen, I love Mobile. I'm dead serious. You couldn't pay me enough to go to Boston. I love the South. Please understand, I went that in its entirety, without any shade whatsoever. You can back me up on this.
In fact, Trey, if there was shade, it'd be the other way around.
Yeah. I'm like, this is a great move. I'm loving it for you, bro. I'm like, absolutely, get the heck out of Boston. What do they got? Boston.
Yeah, I'm really with you in that one. As they say, happy wife, happy life. I met my wife here in Fayetteville whenever I worked here.
I'm dang sure with you on that one now.
20 years ago.
I'm gonna get my husband's number. I'm gonna tell you, get him on board too, my guy.
Yeah, behind any big decision, there's probably a happy wife behind it if you made the right one, right? Yeah. I met my wife here in 2012. I don't know, whenever it was. I was here for 3 years. And a lot of the stuff that Nexstar has done here, getting inside baseball here in the realm of television. Shout out the best company in television, if I may. A lot of that, the Silver Star Nation, a lot of these things, that started here in Fayetteville. Yep. It was the test kitchen. It was the very first one they tried, and it worked really well. And it's a really unique situation with the Razorbacks, and credit to Frank Broyles for somehow, navigating those waters in the early 90s, getting them in the SEC, really changing the outlook of the program, the athletic department. It's kind of a bummer they haven't quite competed at the level you probably want them to in football, especially since Petrino, Houston Nutt by Petrino, they largely had like an 8-win-a-year kind of team. That's kind of changed since Bobby Petrino's gone by the wayside, but the potential's still there. They figured it out in all these other sports. So why can't they figure it out in football? And maybe they do. I think, it's fair to think that they can win 8 games this year. That'd be a really good year for Arkansas. But yeah, I could not be happier to be here. Boston, it's a great place to live if you got a lot of money. Great place to live if you got a lot of money.
Hey, you know what? Cost of living, I can tell you right now. I can tell you a lot about Fayetteville. I drove through once. I did buy a hog shirt. I thought the stadium was awesome. I can tell you the cost of living there. You're going to get a lot more house there in Fayetteville than you are going to get in Boston, my guy. So there are positives. And I love SEC communities more than anything in the world. So glad to have you in the SEC, especially in Nexstar.
And I'm really looking forward to it. We do some really cool things here. We're really fortunate that we get to follow the football team around and see some of these cities. I've been to all but 3 NFL cities, Seattle, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. So now looking forward to checking off a bunch of these SEC cities. There's some good trips. Man, if you're a rich guy, family, whatever, you into college football, you got some great trips. If you're an Arkansas Razorback fan, at Ole Miss, you get to go to the Grove.
Yep.
Next one's Knoxville, the Vol Navy, right there on the water. And Josh Heupel, he's got that thing, humming right now. They look like probably off to another good year. We'll see what they do this week against Georgia. Then you got Austin, Texas, and you got Baton Rouge, LSU. I don't know if there's 4 better road trips. Now the scoreboard could be a little bit different. It can be hard to win one of those games. But, as a fan, there's 4 cool cities to go check out. I'm happy to be a part of it.
And here's the deal, Trey. I don't think
at my core, I'm still a fan.
All I'm saying is I think you're the one that has to get used to the adjustment to the South more than I am. I love it down here, number one. Number two, you don't have to be that rich.
I'm a Pittsburgh kid.
Yeah,
a
there you
Pittsburgh
go.
kid, I hate the cold weather. Hate the cold weather.
Listen,
So,
man,
Arkansas is not even warm enough for me.
Yeah, Northwest Ohio here, and I don't miss it one iota other than my
And,
family.
and you people there on the Panhandle, oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Destin, Rosemary Beach, all of it.
And all of our free time, we spend a lot of time
You guys
down
got to
there.
figure it out. you better make sure these checks keep clearing. You don't want to screw this up.
No, guys. Listen, we're glad to have you in the SEC. We're excited to continue to talk the Hogs with you as we move forward into the season, especially going into the SEC slate and previewing all those games you just mentioned. So looking forward to it, Trey. Thanks so much for joining Southeast Sports Plus, and we'll see you as we move forward, man.
Likewise, good luck to all y'all, and as the,
All y'all.
the great
He's already got that down. All y'all. You
and
got it down, my guy.
relatable Sam Pittman would say, "Go Hogs."
Go Hogs. Look
Love
at that.
it.
Love it.
Love
All
it.
y'all. He's already here, man. All y'all is like 4, by the way. 4,
Yeah.
all y'all.
All
If you hit
y'all.
3, it's a y'all. All y'all is like 4+.
He's quickly ditched the Ka and the Fenway Park for all y'all. I
No,
love it.
I'm a Pittsburgh guy, so that's Yins for those that have, you said Northwest Ohio. Where are you at? Northeast Ohio?
Toledo. We have another former Yankee moved to the south too. Everyone wants to join us down here, man. Patrick, where you at, bro? Listen, I don't know if you know
here.
Patrick Walsh. He's from Rochester.
Yeah, but I was just in Morgantown for school, and so I made plenty of trips up to Pittsburgh, or as they call Yins.
Pittsburgh. Rochester, not far from the Buffalo Bills there. I think Lambeau Field, if you go to one NFL city, I've been fortunate enough to be there, Lambeau's the place to be. After that, I'd say go to Buffalo.
Yes.
And then go to Cleveland.
Wait. Before you go, Trey, I got to ask you. Did you grow up a Steelers fan, or did you get indoctrinated in the Patriots country?
I grew up 7 miles from Heinz Field.
Okay.
Went to the same high school that Mark Bolger and Dan Marino went to.
Nice.
They're in downtown Pittsburgh. So
he
yeah,
has a Steelers
Pittsburgh
tattoo,
fan.
is what he's saying.
I got my dog's name is Crosby.
There you go. Yep.
Only because my wife didn't like the name Mario. That was what I really wanted to go with.
Okay, well, I like
You know
Crosby.
what? We go back to happy wife, happy life. Name the dog, move to Fayetteville. What else you got going down there? We'll check in next week to hear what it is that's next week's situation in that
Well,
South
we're in the process of moving into a house, and she's messing around with the kitchen right now. So
good luck.
She better be happy.
White cabinets, white on white, white cabinets,
Yeah,
white
course,
countertops, my guy. Yeah, there's nothing better.
Love it.
Trey Dare, appreciate your time, sir, from Fayetteville. We'll check in with you next week.
Later, guys.
All right,
See you,
good
Trey.
stuff. Newest member, one of the newest members of Next Star Nation in the SEC, Trey Dare. Man, I meant it when I said what made you want to move down? I didn't mean it in any way.
Honestly,
I love it though.
I did a little dissecting. I think the reason why he said it that way is because maybe everybody in Boston was like, Fayetteville.
I think people are like that.
Yeah.
They were, up in Ohio, they were like Mobile when I moved down here 13 years ago.
And then he's
guess
probably
what?
like,
I
heck
love it.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Deuces. It's the SEC. It just means more.
Yep.
We're going to go to break. We have more SEC coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back in, everybody. Last half hour of Southeast Sports Plus is taking place, and this weekend in Tuscaloosa, the Alabama Crimson Tide will look to win their second straight game as they bump back up into P4 play. Gerhard, Wisconsin coming to town.
This was a huge game last year. Remember, Alabama went on the road to Madison, and that was kind of the emergence of Ryan Williams before he really burst on the scene in the Georgia game the week after that. So this is a really monster matchup, and then it can kind of do two things here, Simone. Obviously, you had that game against Florida State in week 1, embarrassed. You got some get back, but it was kind of get back with a caveat.
Sure.
And now you have a chance to get back with the P4 team on the other side.
Yeah, let's get back with our guy in Huntsville, sports reporter Josiah Elmore joining us to talk all things Alabama Crimson Tide. Josiah, Alabama, are they real? Are they not real after that 73-0 win over ULM? What are you thinking?
I don't know, it's hard to tell when you take down a G5 team like that. Obviously, when you beat any team 73-0, you're way better than the team across from you. But I think getting Wisconsin in is a good P4 test to kind of have a good litmus test before you have Georgia in a couple weeks. It'll be a little bit more high-level competition, high-level in talent on the roster across from you. And it may give Alabama fans a little bit more of a true where are we, moment.
Yeah, Gerhard just alluded to a guy who really burst on the scene last year in Ryan Williams. Of course, this is somebody that Gerhard and I watched to get crowned Mr. Football back-to-back seasons before he went to Sterling High School and then went to Tuscaloosa. And we knew he was going to be really, really talented there in Tuscaloosa. Of course, he suffered a concussion in that Week 1 game against Florida State, and he's going to be back. What's the latest that we know about number 2 there in Crimson, Josiah?
Well, yeah, obviously, as long as he's good, concussion's nothing to play with, play him. And it's one of those things where this week, if you're Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb, you really got to get him in rhythm because the way this team goes kind of starts with Ryan Williams. Him and Ty Simpson getting some good chemistry together would be huge in this game, especially after you saw him in week one with the couple drops against Florida State. Obviously, not what he wants, not what anybody on the Alabama team wants, but it is what it is. And really, if you get Ryan Williams going, you open up the rest of the offense where Bernard has more plays. We might get Jam Miller back. But even if we don't, it'll help, the other stable of running backs behind them to where they'll have to, kind of really play the pass, and then you open up the run game.
I wanted to ask about another Ryan. They're Josiah and Ryan Grubb and the offensive coordinator and some of the things you saw in the Law Monroe game as compared to the Florida State game, and then mixing those game plans together for what they'll put together for Wisconsin, knowing that it's not an SEC game before Georgia. How do you figure that he will handle this play calling and handle the duties, knowing that they need to get a win, but also leaving some in the tank, so to speak, before Georgia comes to town?
Right, you said it. It's kind of a weird mix where you have to be aggressive, but you also don't want to throw everything on film for Kirby Smart to see and have 2 weeks to prepare for it. I think you'll see a similar game plan as you saw with ULM. I just think that they were a little bit more aggressive than they were against Florida State and really a little more physical, which is what you're going to have to do to beat a team like Wisconsin, because we know the Big Ten defenses are typically a more physical style of defense. And so you're going to have to go out there, punch them in the mouth, not to sound too coach speaky, but you're going to have to, control the line of scrimmage, play some smash mouth football and try to get out of there with a win. But I think you'll see a very similar game plan from when they played Louisiana and Monroe.
Yeah, and from all that you'll read and see, they're kind of having a resurgence or a change, so to speak, in Wisconsin. Last year, they tried to do a lot of air raid type things you don't really see out of a Wisconsin team. Got a new offensive coordinator. I think that we're starting to see just maybe this Wisconsin program look different than what they did a year ago. Will that offer a different challenge? Very likely for that Kane Womack defense, no question. I know that we have some sound, Patrick, with Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's hear the latest from Kalen DeBoer talking wide receivers.
Lottie's built up a lot of momentum. When I say Lottie, lots here, built up a lot of momentum here in the last 3 weeks to 4 weeks. He had a nice spring ball and made some plays on Saturday. And so, got some confidence in him. He made guys miss. He made big catches on third down. In the first game, he played with some aggression on some special teams plays that we were hoping for, and he came through. as far as how it affects everything, it adds him to the mix, which then moves people around. Doesn't mean you have to play everyone, in the same spot the whole game. I think Jern can play inside and outside. I think Ryan can play inside and outside. And so, we just got to always continue to be evaluating that throughout the season. And, different dynamics will change too that maybe are unknown right now, fortunate or unfortunate. So, Ryan's got that versatility. He's taken a number of snaps inside, but we know what he can do outside too. And so he made a lot of nice plays, as we all know, on the outside.
He was talking about personnel there with what they can do with the receiving core. I want to ask you about the running back room. Jam Miller is a guy that we've had our eye on ever since he had that injury in fall camp. Do you expect Alabama to play him whether or not he is completely healthy, or do you expect him to leave him on the sideline for another week and try to be 100% for Georgia?
I think you'll get Jam Miller, especially if he's comfortable enough to do it. I think you'll get him for, maybe 5 to 8 carries in this one if you're controlling the game and winning. Obviously, if you get into this one and you're not having success on the ground and you're not having success on the scoreboard, that might change. You might throw caution to the wind and get him in there because, certainly Kalen DeBoer and this Alabama team, they can't afford to lose to Wisconsin in Bryant-Denny Stadium this Saturday. So I think it'll really depend on what the game looks like. But if, say, Alabama does what they're supposed to do in this one and kind of handles Wisconsin, I think you see him for 5 to 8 carries, just, get some rust off. You don't want him to go, it would be almost 6 weeks without playing, contact football before you go play Georgia. I don't think you really want to see that in this one. I do think you'll get him a little bit, but again, it's that collarbone area. As a running back, you got to lower the shoulder a lot. It's really just going to come down to, is he comfortable enough to do it? And then do you have to do it?
Yep, no doubt. Well, we'll find out. 11 a.m. is the kickoff time there at Bryant-Denny Stadium between Alabama and Wisconsin. And then, like you mentioned, Josiah, there's going to be a little bit of an off period, right? So Alabama takes a week off before jumping into SEC play, which, of course, they go on the road in Athens to play Georgia, currently ranked in the top 10. We know what the Bulldogs have to offer, although Georgia has a pretty tough test this coming week as well. When you think about what this can do in terms of, I don't want to say make or break, because that sounds a little dramatic, but if Alabama were to lose this game, that I would consider that break. They'd be in a really, really tough spot, being 1-2 going into a week 4, week 5 matchup against Georgia. How much of an opportunity, Josiah, would you say this is for Alabama to get right, to go into the bye week with some confidence, with some refreshness, feeling like, hey, okay, we are this Alabama team that's been of the past? I think Alabama posted something like, still Bama after beating ULM by 73-0. I kind of laughed at that because I'm thinking, it's still Bama nothing. I mean, you beat ULM, and again, I have a lot of respect for ULM, Brian Vincent, but how much of an opportunity is this game against Wisconsin to be able to have a proving ground before you kind of really take the wheels off and then go and play Georgia?
I think it's huge. I don't know if maybe Alabama fans, they might not fully understand how huge this could be for the season in general, because momentum's a big thing in football. And if you get off to a great start against a Power 4 school, again, like you said, there's all respect for ULM and Coach Vincent, but they're a Group of 5 school. That's kind of what an Alabama level roster should do to a Group of 5 school. Mm-hmm. If you get a good win against a Power 4 school, you're not going to beat them 73-0 unless something just crazy happens. But, if you get a 35-14 win, you get a lot of momentum. You can you show to your fans and yourselves, okay, we can go play with anybody, and we can, it gives you a little bit of good film to watch heading into the bye week, and it keeps players' confidence high, because the one thing you really don't want to do is you don't want to go into the bye week and have to sit on a loss for 2 weeks and then sit on a loss with looking up the mountain of, we're going to Athens and we're playing a top 10 Georgia team. Yeah. You really, really need to go into this thing, get a good win, and come out with a lot of confidence to kind of propel yourself into SEC play, because there ain't no rest for the wicked once you start SEC play.
Yeah, and a guy by the name of Jeff Grimes, now, of course, the OC there in Wisconsin, as Luke Fickell went and found someone different. And this guy knows the SEC. He was only at Auburn University for 3-4 years, back at 09-12, national championship season, right before the Gus Bus went to the national championship and lost. And so this is a guy who knows what it takes to do well in the SEC. And if you're on the other end of it as an Alabama team, the last time that you were up against a former Auburn coach, that was a couple of weeks ago, and things did not go very well. So if you don't think coaches think like that, I promise you that's exactly how they think. Josiah, good stuff. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for your time, and we will meet with you next week as Alabama has a bye week. Auburn, of course, going to be up against South this weekend as they move forward as well into the SEC slate.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Cool. Good stuff, Josiah Elmore. Join us from Huntsville. It's going to be a busy weekend in the state of Alabama. Of course, the Auburn Tigers will be at home, Jordan-Hare Stadium, welcoming in South Alabama. First time ever. Historic game there, Gerhard. I'm excited to go to that one. If I can get up. I think we're leaving at like 6 a.m.
That's an early trip.
Well, I had to take my mom to the airport. My mom's got to get to the airport because she's got to go to South Bend.
Even earlier. It's a big day for your family as it relates to college football.
I mean, listen.
First ever South Auburn game?
She was coming in town to see my son, and then she's leaving town early to go to college football. I'm like, where do I rank? Behind college football and my child. That was just my kid.
She had a checklist for the weekend. It was JP, check. Yeah. Irish, check. And I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. And that is it. That is all that they need. No question about that. Thanks, Cam. All right, guys, take a quick break. We'll be right back to wrap things up here on Southeast Sports Plus.
Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus. Usually we do this on a Friday, but we want to switch things up here. We're gonna
switch them up.
We're gonna do some of our Week 3 SEC predictions, and why don't we just jump right into it here? Let's go Wisconsin at Alabama.
So okay, I need to make sure. I need to make sure that we are. I need to make sure I'm doing this right, guys. Okay, so before we really jump right in, can someone please let me know if we are we like saying based on the line? Is it straight up? Are we pretending to do bets?
Say what you want.
Say what you want.
Just say, hey, let's just say that you like team A to win, and team B to cover. You could just say, hey, I like this team straight up. Don't know about the spread. Boom.
What's the cool way to say it?
The
money line.
Yeah,
no. Say I'll take the money line, and I'll you know what? If you like Alabama, for example, to cover 3 touchdowns, say I'll points with Alabama.
Okay. All right. Now bring it. Okay, start now. All right. I like Alabama by 3 touchdowns.
So you want to lay the points? 3 touchdowns won't get you there. You got to have.
Well, you're the one that just told me that, G. This is my agent. This is my agent. He can't even represent me properly.
You need 22 points. That's the thing. You need
Bro,
21.
I'm just going based on what you just told me.
Okay, so you're going to lay the points.
They're going to cover. Bama's going to cover.
I like. See that. There it is. I
don't even know if I believe that. Actually, no. I don't even believe that. Hold on. I do not believe that. I don't even mean that. I was just trying to say what you told me to say.
I was trying to save you because Vegas gets you on that half point.
I do not mean. I don't even mean that.
You said 3 touchdowns. So I was thinking 21 points. 21 points. Wisconsin covers.
For the record, I was repeating what you just told me, and I don't even believe that.
I should have known that.
I do believe Alabama will win the game. I believe it'll be by like 2 touchdowns. So I'm taking Wisconsin with the points.
There
we
go.
Let's go.
Bama on the money line. Wisconsin with the points.
I
honestly, in my heart, I kind of like the same thing that she just said. The only reason why I like Alabama to cover is a late backdoor cover. So I'm feeling very sheepish about it. I would not put any. I'd put whatever your regular bet size is. I'd minus it by a half because I think Bama does cover, but you'll need the backdoor to be open.
I said yesterday that Alabama's on upset watch until they beat a Power 4 opponent, but with Wisconsin losing their quarterback Billy Edwards,
I was nervous for a minute. Patrick, please don't.
Can't do that anymore.
I was like, Patrick, please don't do this right now. Please don't do this. Please don't do this again, my guy. Please don't do this again. I'm taking Tennessee to upset Georgia in this game.
Here's the thing:
What?
the more people keep saying Tennessee, they become this popular dog, and that's a dog with fleas.
You change in 30 minutes.
Well, it's because I hate popular dogs. I hate popular underdogs because they never end up covering.
Chris Hagan's pretty
influential. But give me Tennessee.
Stand on something or stand on nothing.
Give me Tennessee.
I'm about to say Gerhard. There ain't no way you change in an hour.
I'm just getting more sheepish the more people pick Tennessee.
Nope, Tennessee's winning. Easily.
I figure I've been around. I'm big environment. I'm a big feel girl.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, if I'm sitting there, I'm playing blackjack. Actually, it's a complete lie. Don't do that. Okay, so I like him in Rocky Top. What we got next?
Florida at LSU, 7.5 point favorites.
LSU covers.
Last week was the beginning of the end for the Florida Gators.
That's strong.
They go into Death Valley. Nussmeier's going to have, I would say, about close to 300 yards. Yep. And LSU's going to win this game by at least 10.
Yeah. I mean, all I know is that that the Tigers have Miss Barbara Longbottom, the super fan that we had in the second block of the show. And guys, she's going to will them to national championship this year. So LSU rolling.
LSU rolling.
Yeah.
Easily.
This next one's kind of.
This one's tough.
I don't like this one now.
This one is interesting. You have a young quarterback at Texas A&M going to I guess a really hard place to play, and I hope your mother makes it a little bit more difficult in that matchup.
I hope to see her.
It's just hard I think it's hard for a young quarterback to win at Notre Dame. I just do.
So Chris Hagan came on the show and he said that he was at the Indiana game, and I didn't want to say this when he was there, but I'll tell him later for sure. Again, I've said this out loud. I think I said this week. Is that Notre Dame's atmosphere is impressive. Notre Dame's atmosphere is not the SEC. It's not even the lower echelon SEC. Yeah. So going on the road, I mean, if it was like the dead of winter, I'll give you that. Yeah. When I went to Notre Dame's playoff game, the only thing that I could think about was how I couldn't feel my feet and my nose. In fact, my nose was so red that I thought it was going to fall off. That was the most difficult thing about that environment. Because I think what else was frozen is the guy who plays the music's fingers, because he wasn't doing anything. We're all sitting there, we're like, they're going to start running some lights or something? They're going to get dark in here? Like, what is happening? It was, I mean, I grew up in Notre Dame. I am Notre Dame through and through as in terms of fandom. Yeah. But I was like, this leaves a little bit to be desired. I like Texas A&M this game.
That's a hard ask for a young quarterback. But so much money has moved from Texas A&M in this game. I usually go with the smart money, but I'm going to go to Notre Dame. I'm going to Notre Dame to cover. And it might be like Bama, where I'll need something on the back end. It's a 3-point game, and I'll need Notre Dame to score a late touchdown to be able to cover that game. But I'm going Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, it's 6.5. Notre Dame at the end of the Miami game, it seemed like that last quarter they really started to ramp it up until Carson Beck led that game-winning field goal drive. They've had a week off to think about it, that sinks in.
I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing. I think if you're sitting there, you're getting rusty, collecting dust.
I feel like that builds the fire even more.
Yeah. Well, there's a fire. There's a fire building, but there's also like people get comfortable and they get stale. And A&M right now, give me the Aggies.
I think the smart coaches.
Give me the Aggies in South Bend.
I think the smart coaches know how to handle those bye weeks, and I consider Marcus Freeman one of the smart coaches. And I think he knows how to handle it.
He's super smart.
He handled NIU last year really well.
I really look forward to Monday's show. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, so do I.
I really look forward to our group chat that occurs on Saturdays that is literally nonstop. You know what? Next on Monday, we're going to have Going to the Group Chat, and that is going to be a segment on this program moving forward, and we are going to censor the things we need to censor, and Going to the Group Chat will be debuted on Monday. Be prepared. I'll be on the plains. Patrick will be watching college football. Gerhard as well, and looking forward to that, guys.
100%.
All right. That's all for this Thursday edition of Southeast Sports Plus. We'll see you tomorrow, and then we will see you Monday.